Good morning, everybody, and thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Juan Morales, Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ Pro here at GE Appliances. It is an absolute pleasure to be with each and every one of you today, and we welcome you to this live training event where we will be demonstrating how to utilize the SmartHQ Service application to help you diagnose some of the most common laundry issues. Okay, so in particular today, we're going to be focusing on this front load washing machine that we have set up over here. Now, I do want to just mention real quick, for those of you that are wondering why the glasses, I'm not hungover, I didn't get beat up, but I am in the northeast part of the country and we have severe allergy conditions right now. The air is extremely dry. There's a lot of pollen. It hasn't rained in a while, so the conditions for people who suffer from allergies are optimal for maximum suffrage. So that's why I'm wearing the glasses today. The eyes aren't looking too great this morning. But we're still going to cover everything that that we're going to go through today, which is, of course, troubleshooting appliances, in this particular case, laundry products, with SmartHQ Service. Okay, my friends? Now, before we get started, I want to go ahead and quickly share our contact information for those of you that are joining us maybe for the first time. And of course, that is going to be our website, right? We do have a website, and the website is smarthqpro.com/service. And of course, you can always email us at smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com. Now, for those of you that are watching this maybe in a group setting, and perhaps you want to know how you can get access to these trainings directly from your mobile device or from your computer, simply go ahead and scan that QR code right there that says Fix It Like a Pro training series, and that is going to allow you to register so that you get notifications the next time we have these events. We have them every month, but we're probably going to have them a little bit more frequently going forward, and you'll be able to access them. There's absolutely no charge. All we want is for you to understand how to work on our appliances, how to fix them efficiently, and of course how to leverage SmartHQ Service, right? And one of the things we've done today for time purposes, of course, is we've already connected the Bluetooth module to the washing machine's Ethernet port, which is of course located where the detergent drawer would be. You just remove the detergent drawer and the port is right there, all right? So let's go ahead and quickly get started and get into the troubleshooting. Now, some of you are joining us for the first time, so I wanna go ahead and quickly share the system information. So if you've never seen this before, okay, it's an extremely simple system to utilize, and it basically consists of that Bluetooth module that you see right there in the middle of your screen. So that Bluetooth module is going to connect to the appliance using a standard RJ45 cable. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the port is located right where the detergent drawer would be. So you pull the detergent drawer out, there's a little silicone cover, kind of pop it off and connect your cable, and you're ready to rock and roll. Now, once you do this, you're going to be able to communicate with the appliance and essentially control it, right? Anything from getting diagnostic information or activating components. So for example, here, this little cartoon technician is asking how the drain pump is doing. And of course, the washing machine is running great. So all is good. Now, in addition to real-time diagnostics, okay, you will also get access to cloud-based service documentation, which of course will come in the form of things like schematic diagrams, the service manual, the mini manual, training bulletins. And for those of you who are affiliated with GE Appliances, you will also have access to the service bulletins. Okay, my friends, so that's a very important piece of information, because if you think about it, right, a lot of the information that we need maybe once we diagnose something, perhaps you need to know how to disassemble the unit, how to put it back together, how to test certain components, how to run different activate different modes in the test phase of your diagnostics. This service documentation that's available with SmartHQ is going to allow you to do all that. Speaking of which, my friends, I want to send a big shout out to my good friend Demetrio. He's over in Houston, Texas, with Appliance Cowboys. So shout out to you. Mary, to Marco, everybody out there. We're going to be out there very soon to visit you all. But again, thank you for being loyal users of SmartHQ Service. I was actually just talking to Dimitro yesterday. We were working on a combo washer dryer, right? There was some kind of issue with the drying performance, and SmartHQ Service right away, within seconds, found out exactly what was wrong with it, and he was able to assess the situation and then go from there. So Demetrio, Good talking to you yesterday, and hopefully we'll see you out there very soon in Houston, Texas. Okay. All right, my friend. So let's go back over here and talk a little bit about what it is that you're going to see as soon as you connect to the appliance. So first and foremost, the dashboard screen, right? So the dashboard screen, when you open up the application, you're going to be able to see the diagnostics section. And in here, this is kind of going to be the heart of everything, right? So let's go ahead and zoom maybe into this area right over here. In the diagnostics section, you can look at whether or not the unit needs a firmware update, if there are any alerts. In other words, it's something going on with the unit that maybe is customer related. Also the faults. So if you click on the fault code button, it's going to give you a detailed description, right, of every single fault code that is in the machine. And not only is it going to tell you what the fault code is, but it's going to give you the date of when it occurred and which, in the case of washing machines, which cycle it occurred. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a history of what, what's been going on with the appliance, right? So if you think about it, right, when you walk into your customer's home, if you're a service company, or if you're a property maintenance technician, you walk into a residence home in your building and you ask Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, Mr. and Mrs. Resident, can you tell me what's wrong with the unit? A lot of the times they're not really going to know, right? They're just going to say, well, it's not working, or the clothes are coming out wet, or maybe it's taking too long to finish the load, things of that nature. So with this information, you're able to see exactly what happened, when it happened, and wait till we get into the cycle history. You're going to love that because that's going to tell you if the problem is as a result of how the user is basically utilizing the product. Okay, so that's going to be something really, really cool to talk about. All right, so going back to this section over here, again, don't forget that not only do you have access to diagnostics, but also service information, right? So in the case of, for example, this machine, there is a training bulletin out there that talks a little bit about diagnosing when the washer is not draining, right? So we're going to get into that in a second over here. But before we do that, let's go ahead and quickly get right into the application, because I think that's what everybody today came here for. And of course, what I'm going to do right now for time purposes, again, we already connected the Bluetooth module and I have my app set up on my iPad. By the way, my friends, I want to just let you know that this application, okay, SmartHQ Service, works on both Android and iOS devices. So that means you don't have to go out there and purchase additional hardware, right? We're not going to say, oh, it only works on one platform, so you have to buy, this phone or that, you could buy you could stick with the platform that you already use, download the application, and you're ready to rock and roll. So the app is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just look for SmartHQ Service. Make sure you type in service, and you'll be able to download it. All right, so that being said, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and split the screen over here. So everything that I do on my iPad, you're going to be able to see it on your end as well, okay? So the first thing that we see over here with this unit is obviously the model and serial number. This is a GFW 550, and we can also see the manufacturer date, which is June 2021. And so it's been running for about a little bit over 3 years, right? Now, we can clearly see here that we have 7 fault codes. We don't have any alerts, and there is no need for a firmware update in this machine, okay? So for whatever reason, we don't need to update the firmware, which is good, right? Because it means it's up to the latest and greatest version. So let's go ahead quickly into the fault codes first, because that's what's showing up. So if I click that fault code button, that little red triangle, and of course you have to accept the disclaimer over there that says you're a trained technician, you know what you're doing. Essentially, I see these 7 fault codes here. Now, if I click on any one of them, right, let's say inverter power and door lock monitor, so F77, it tells me that this happened 538 days ago, and it's just basically saying ensure that the door locks and things like that. So a lot of these fault codes, my friends, let me see the latest one down here. This one happened 31 days ago. The vent damper failed to open and close. A lot of these faults that I see on this particular machine are really inactive faults, and it tells you right there they're inactive. It means that it's not affecting the operation of the appliance, okay? But it's still something that you should take a look at just to make sure. But if you see any active codes, okay, active codes like a sensor's open or a heating element is bad or something along those lines, or the motor's bad, then obviously you have to address it, you have to replace a component, whatever the case may be. But if you think about it, by being able to access the fault codes right from your app, you don't have to go into that service mode, okay? So service mode requires you to hold down a couple buttons, turn the jog dial, press a series of more buttons, and then you get some flashing lights. sometimes that can be very confusing, very difficult to interpret. So with SmartHQ Service, you're able to see exactly what's going on with the unit. No need for looking at a chart or a mini manual or anything that tells you what certain lights, light flashes mean. Everything is right here for you, okay? So that's gonna be the fault codes. And of course, there are no alerts, but one alert that you might see on a washing machine is maybe, a complaint about noise and vibration. And that could be as a result of maybe how the consumer is utilizing the washer, right? So maybe they're loading it with heavy towels, bedding, but they're selecting the quick wash cycle. And of course, what that's going to do is the torque on the motor is adjusted a little bit differently. It's probably going to shake excessively to the point that it's going to go out of balance. And of course, that's going to extend the cycle times. Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to cycle history. And again, my friends, if we wanted to do a firmware update, the firmware update icon would have a little triangle basically lit up. And if you clicked on it, that apply button, I can't really do it right now because there's no update available. That apply button would be clickable. You can run the update, and then of course the unit would be updatable, right? The firmware. But in this case, again, it clearly tells you firmware upgrade is not required. So that's good. But in your case, you may go out there to a unit that needs a firmware update. Just go ahead and hit that button. I'm going to say about 5-10 minutes, it should be all done, and the machine will be up to date with the most latest and greatest firmware version. So that, my friends, is kind of a little section of the dashboard that I wanted to show in terms of diagnostics. So before we get into more information, I want to go ahead and quickly share a little bit more about how SmartHQ Service can help you overcome no defect found cases. Okay, and these are extremely frustrating, my friends. Sometimes, when we can't figure out what's going on with the unit, a lot of the times, I did it as a technician. We just go in there and throw parts at it, right? Just to hope, in the hopes that the unit will work. So the picture you see to the right, that customer is obviously very frustrated because a washing machine is taking over 2 hours to run, and it's still running, and it hasn't finished the load. And initially, the display said maybe it was going to take an hour. I don't know, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. But it's been 2 hours and it's still running. The image below, you can see that customer, that user has to wring out the clothes because they're coming out wet. So obviously that's not good. The clothes should be spun almost dry, and that should never happen. And the one that you see all the way to the left, customer is upset because the fridge is not cooling properly. Of course, we'll get into that when we talk about refrigerators. But in terms of washing machines, okay, there's a very cool feature called cycle history. And essentially what the cycle history feature is going to do, it's going to tell you how the product has been utilized. So it is going to give you information, for example, such as the cycle that was utilized. So let me go ahead and zoom in here because I think this is something we really want to focus on over here, okay? It's going to give you things like which cycle was utilized by the consumer. So in this case, we see that they use bulky, bedding, they selected towels, they selected whites, normal. So this particular user, okay, I want to just mention this because this is important. This particular user is actually switching the setting every time they put a load of laundry. And depending on the load, they're selecting in theory, they're selecting the right setting, right? So if you put in towels, select towels. If you put in a king comforter, select bedding. If you put in just, a bunch of clothes, shirts, pants, select normal, right? So a lot of consumers will not do that. They'll actually just set the unit to one cycle and let it be, and they'll put anything in there. Towels, bedding, jeans, whatever. And if the load, it doesn't match the setting, the machine might go out of balance, and essentially the cycle time will be extended, all right? So going back to this, my friends, what else can we see? We can also see the cycle duration time, so you can see exactly how long the cycle took. And take a look at cycle number, so we're gonna look at cycle number 832. It's the one almost to the left. It took 92 minutes, whereas cycle number 833 took only 65 minutes. So there's a reason for that. We're going to find out in a second, okay? The other thing you can see is also, let me see if I can find it. Yep, here it is, a maximum spin speed. So you can see how fast the the machine ran. So you can see the RPMs, which is important, right? Because right above that, you get your target speed, and both of them should essentially match. Okay, that would mean that the machine is spinning out the clothes correctly. And then down here, take a look at this, my friends, the out of balance retries and out of balance information. So this right here, this section is going to tell you if the unit ever went out of balance and had to reshuffle the clothes, had to redo the spin mode again, because that happens quite a bit. Especially if, again, the consumer uses the wrong cycle. Okay, that's going to cause the unit to shake, to vibrate, to go out of balance. And what happens is, let's go back over here and kind of show you. Take a look at that where it says out of balance retries. So out of balance retries for that cycle that took 92 minutes. See all the way at the top, sort of left-hand side, 92 minutes in the cycle duration time. Look at the out of balance retries. The machine had to retry to balance itself 7 times. And if you look at the out of balance redistribution events, all the way at the bottom, it's 3. So these out of balance redistribution events, what it basically consists of is you have the machine detects that, it's not going to spin normally. It's going to spin, but it's going to shake too much. So to prevent the unit from, walking or damaging itself or something else, what it does is it stops the spin cycle. It fills the machine with water, again, just to kind of reshuffle the clothes in an effort to separate them, right? Because maybe they're all bunched up in one ball, right? And the machine is spinning in an elliptical form rather than a circular form. So it does this in an effort, again, to reshuffle the clothes, try to spin it out again, and hopefully it balances itself out. Well, this particular machine, as you can see, it did it 3 times, and that's why the cycle was extended to 92 minutes. So with this information in hand, my friends, what you can do is very easily explain to your customer, to your resident, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, Mr. and Mrs. Resident, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the washing machine. Okay, the reason why it's vibrating or the reason why it's taking so long to finish the load is because there was, an out of balance event. At that point you can start explaining. If you select, or if you're going to put in towels, please select towels. If you're going to put in bedding, please select bedding. You kind of get the idea, right? But it gives you the ability to understand how the product has been utilized, because otherwise, you're basically just trying to figure out what's wrong. You can't find anything because all the tests check out correct, and your consumer is still puzzled because they're like, well, this technician didn't do anything. He or she is telling me that there's nothing wrong with the unit, but I know for a fact that there are problems with it. So that creates confusion, that creates callbacks, and I don't have to tell you how much it costs to go back to a customer's house a second time. You know what the cost of that is. It is way, way expensive, and we don't have any wiggle room for that, okay? We want you to have a first-time fix if at all possible, okay? So that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and start doing some diagnostics over here, right? So enough of this PowerPoint stuff. Let's dive right in. Let's find out how this machine has been utilized by going to the cycle history. So to do that, we're gonna click the diagnostic button, and you can see right there, it says cycle history. So we're going to click cycle history, and let's go ahead and flip this over. And I'm just going to take myself out of the picture over here so that you all can see what's happening here. So all the way at the top, you see the cycle, or not at the top, at the top you see the cycle number, but below that you see the cycle duration time. You see kind of just highlighted there. And then below that, we can see that the cycle complete. Yes, we can also see that this particular unit has been utilized to do normal, white, towels, normal, whites, etc. Now, do we have any out of balance retries? We really don't, except for, this one right here, out of balance redistribution events. So this 3 right here that you see, okay, kind of in the middle of your screen all the way at the bottom, if we look at the top, let's look at that in terms of the cycle duration time, 65 minutes. So that extended the cycle by about 15 minutes because that's a normal cycle. And I do want to mention to everybody one thing, my friends. If we just turn on this machine right now, so let's go ahead and turn it on. Okay, and I'm going to select the normal cycle. So it's actually set to normal right now, 55 minutes. But as we can see, right, on our SmartHQ Service cycle history table over here, that normal cycle took 65 minutes, so the cycle duration time we're looking at. And the reason for that is because there were 3 out of balance redistribution events. Now, not a big deal, right? But it extended the cycle by a little bit. So if you have, pretty tough customer that maybe is saying, hey, I want my my washing machine to run exactly for 55 minutes, sometimes that's not going to happen, okay? And it's an easy way for you to explain as well. But obviously, if you see, 90 minutes, right? So it's extending it by a half hour, or you see 120 minutes, it's going, past 2 hours, then clearly there's a problem, okay? And obviously with SmartHQ, you can explain it. That makes it much easier for you to have that conversation and essentially prevent a possible callback, all right? Now let's go ahead and get into so let's go back over here. I wanna go ahead and show you a couple different things. In this section, so let's go back over here. To get to the diagnostic section, go ahead and click diagnostic features. In this section right over here, we have notification cycle history, info settings, load status, operate loads. Operate loads is one of my favorite features because it allows me to control the unit directly from my mobile device. Okay, now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put the unit into service mode. So we're going to go to operate loads, and I want you to see what happens. Okay, take a look keep an eye on this section right over here of the washer. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter service mode and watch what's going to happen to the display on the washer. So we enter service mode, and you notice that the washing machine is now sort of flashing, right? So look at that, it's flashing. That means it is in service mode. So in effect, what I've done is instead of doing that song and dance over here with a key code sequence, with a simple push of a button, I've now activated service mode on the machine, which means I can do anything. I can control the components, I can run the water valve, the drain pump, the motor, anything I want. So let's start by running a couple things over here. Let's start first by running the hot water valve. And for that, I am simply going to go ahead and hit the hot water valve button. But I want to do this. We're going to switch cameras over here. And I want you to see that everything that we do is going to happen in real time. Okay, so when I hit the hot water valve button, turn it on, watch the hot water come in. Take a look. So there it is. There's my hot water coming in. And I don't know if it's going to be hot right away because I haven't primed the line. So I'm just going to kind of feel it. Nah, it's pretty cool to the touch. But as it's filling, one thing that I can do is I can go to the upper right-hand corner. You see that little box button, kind of looks like a graph. If I press it, that is my watch box. And it tells me that the current water temperature is 66 degrees Fahrenheit, which of course is going to get higher as hot water comes into the unit. Okay, so that's going to begin to go higher and higher and higher. So let's let this thing run, and it's going to run for about a minute, so 42 seconds, 44 seconds. It's going to continue to fill, a little bit more. Again, these tests typically run for about a minute or so, and they stop themselves. You could stop it yourself, but it'll stop by itself. So there it is. It kind of stopped all on its own. Okay, so what we did right here, my friends, is with the simple push of a button, I was able to activate one component, the hot water valve. But I want you to take a look at this, okay? I'm going to hit again, the upper right-hand corner has the watch box section. And look at my water temperature value. It went up because, again, a little bit more hot water began to come in and, mixed with the cold water, I guess, that was coming in initially. But look at the pressure sensor below, the value, 4.3 inches of water. If we look, obviously, at the inside of the tub there, we see that we have some water, and the system is calculating that we have 4.3 inches of water. This is very, very important because it basically tells you that the pressure sensor, right, that sensor that detects the amount of water that goes into the unit is actually working correctly. If we didn't see that pressure sensor value going up in terms of the inches, we probably have maybe the hose, the hose that goes to the pressure sensor, maybe we have a kinked hose, or it's got a little cut, or it's pinched. Who knows, right? There could be a variety of things wrong with it, or the pressure sensor itself is bad. But the fact that we see a reading right there of 4.3 inches tells me that there's definitely water. Now, what I'm going to do right now, my friends, is I'm going to go to the pumps section. So again, we're going to switch gears over here. We're going to go to pump, and we're going to turn on the drain pump, okay? Now, two things that I want you to observe, okay? Two very important things, very, very important. So I want to address the audience over here. When we activate a component, all right, if you take a look at the status, right? So we see drain pump status right now, it's off. When I turn this component on, I should see that status change from off to on. This indicates that my main control board is sending voltage, in this case 120 volts AC, to the drain pump in order to activate it. And of course, I should see the water begin to come out. If that doesn't happen, there's obviously a problem. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. But the second thing I want you to look at is also, if we go to the watch box, the little upper right-hand corner button right there, I want you to look at the pressure sensor, and you're gonna notice that as the water is draining, the the inches, right, are going to go down in value, indicating that the pressure sensor is detecting that water is exiting the unit. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to switch gears over here, and we're going to turn on the drain pump. So on, and visually, you're going to see the water begin to disappear. So you can kind of hear that, right? I don't know if you can hear the gurgle with my microphone, but the water is leaving the unit. Okay, it's leaving. And if we look at our watch box, take a look at that. The inches are dropping. The pressure sensor inches are going down. So it started at 4.3. Now it's down to 3.6, 2.9. And look at the water, my friends. The water is going. It's almost gone, right? Now we have 2 inches. And 0.4. And that water is out of there. Okay, we've gotten rid of the water. The drain pump is still running for a little bit. It's kind of just gurgling because there's nothing left to pump out. So we're going to go ahead and turn it off by hitting the off key. So we turned it off, and that's it. That's how you would be able to diagnose or activate, rather, that particular component. So all we did is we activated the drain pump, and we're able to make the water, drain, right? So again, my friends, I want to reiterate the fact that that status went from off to on. Okay, and we can turn it on again. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on one more time. There's no water that's going to drain, but we're going to turn it on. Take a look at the status. It changes from off to on, indicating that my main board is sending power to the drain pump in this particular case. So let's turn it off. So why is that important? Well, in the event that you're trying to figure out whether it's a drain pump or a control board, well, there you have it. Right there, we can clearly see that the main control board is good. And if that drain pump wasn't working, the problem would be related to the drain pump. Could it be related to a kinked drain hose or a blockage or something like that? Yes, of course. But at the very least, we've ruled out the main control board, which if you're in property management, it is going to save you thousands of dollars in parts that you would have thrown at the unit that now you're not doing, right? You're actually, with certainty, you're replacing just the components that you need and not just guessing. So that itself takes, can be a huge savings for you and your organization. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at something else over here. Let's now, so we were in operate loads. We can activate, obviously, the cold water valve. We can activate the drain pump. We can also activate the door lock. And of course, the damper, right? The damper that opens and closes to allow you can actually, on these units, you can actually shut the front door and run what's called the ultra fresh vent cycle. And what that's going to do is it's going to circulate the basket. It's going to rotate it, and it's going to allow all the humidity to come out, right? And there's a little vent that opens and closes for that. So that allows you to shut your front door and not have to worry about mold growth or any problems like that. Now, that doesn't really matter because we do put the microband coating, you can see it, it's blue, on these gaskets. And of course, that's going to allow the any germs or anything like that to just die, any bacteria. So there's going to be no odor. And it's going to be really nice and clean for you the next time you utilize it, even if you keep the door closed on a front load washer, which again typically has been a problem. All right. So that being said, my friends, that is the information that I wanted to share with you. Let's go back over here to the screen over here and share some more information. So we showed you how to activate some components. We're going to activate a few more, but I also want to talk about this, okay? SmartHQ Service also gives you the ability to view service documentation. And this one is quite important. This training bulletin is part of the SmartHQ Service application, okay? You don't have to go out and search anywhere for this. It's right on your app. So this is where I pulled this from. Essentially, it's telling you that if the machine doesn't drain, it's possible that the board, you see that, I think that's a transistor, right? Q, I believe Q is the letter for a transistor, but whatever the case may be, that part right there in the board is fried. And the reason for that is because there's probably a problem with the drain pump. So this training bulletin is telling you, before you replace a board, check the drain pump, okay? It's asking you to check it for 19 ohms of resistance, plus or minus 10%. And then use the service mode to verify that there's 120 volts going to the drain pump. So what we just did, right? What did we do? We activated the service mode and we hit drain pump on. That essentially is pumping 120 volts into the drain pump. So without having to go into the service mode, just with the simple push of a button, we were able to do that. So then the next thing that the training bulletin is telling you is saying to check the main board for damage to that particular component, Q553. And if it is damaged, of course, you want to check the harness, and if need be, replace the drain pump first, okay? Very important, because if a bad drain pump is what's causing the issue, then if you just replace the main control board again, you're going to fry it again. So first, check the drain pump. If it's bad, obviously replace it. Second, replace the main board. So these training bulletins are extremely important. Now, some of you might be asking, well, how do I know, where to go to the drain pump to check it? Well, that's what the schematic diagram is for, my friends. And one of the nice things about SmartHQ Service is that within the application itself, so I'm going to go ahead and exit service mode just to get out of service mode. And if you notice, my lights stopped flashing over here. You can actually see right from the dashboard screen the service documentation. So in this case, we're going to go to manuals and bulletins. We're going to click that. We're going to go ahead and select the mini manual, because the mini manual has the latest and greatest information regarding the schematic diagrams or any test codes or service information. So let's go ahead and hit mini manual. And again, I'm going to take myself out of the picture over here. You don't need to see me. You need to see the schematics. So we're going to go up here, and let's go ahead and find that drain pump. So that is, where the heck is it? But I want you, as we're looking for this, my friends, take a look at the crystal clear graphics that you can see here. This is quite amazing. Let's see if we can find that drain pump. Where is it? Drain pump right here. So drain pump, it's saying that it's going to connector J512, all right? And that's your line and your neutral. And then it's, of course, going to the drain pump. Now, what you would do, if you want to check the drain pump, you can actually go to connector J512. You can check both the drain pump and the wire harness by disconnecting J512 from the board and checking between pins 2 and 3, all right, which is also telling you the color of the wire, C and B. Let's look at the color code. Let's look at what those color wires are. All right, C is brown and B is black. So we're going to basically look for a brown and a black wire, and that should give us, what did the training bulletin say? If my memory serves correct. Oh, yes. It's telling us to check for about 19.5 ohms of resistance. Okay, so just like that, my friends, we are able to see on the schematic diagram clearly where that information or where the test lead should go. And again, everything is at your fingertips. Diagnostics, service information, training bulletins. And again, if you're affiliated with GE Appliances, you will also have access to those very important service bulletins. All right, so let's go ahead, and now I did have more information related to, so let me go ahead and share the screen over here. A lot of people ask me, about that pressure sensor, inches information, okay? So this is actually quite important. Let's go ahead and zoom into this section right over here, because a lot of you might be asking, okay, so I can see the pressure sensor value on SmartHQ Service, but what does it mean? Well, in terms of inches, okay, we can forget about the voltage, because again, with SmartHQ Service, there's no need for you to use a multimeter to check any components. Everything's going to be right on your application. So we're just going to go to the data, okay? And the data is going to be much quicker, much more efficient for you to diagnose. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. An empty washing machine obviously is going to have 0 inches. During a normal wash, you're going to read about 1.86 inches. During a normal rinse, it's about 2.4. Let's take a look at the one that's the highest amount of water here. As far as the actual cycles. So if we look at bulky bedding rinse, we see 3 inches, right? 3 inches of water is approximately what you're going to be utilizing when you're doing maybe a king comforter, or just your bedding in general. You're going to get about 3 inches of water in there. Now the other thing is, if the door, see these higher inch amounts, 7.25, you'll never see that much water in there, okay? But if the pressure sensor ever detects 7.25 or 11 inches, you're gonna get a fault code, okay? Right away, there's gonna be a fault code that's gonna appear on your SmartHQ Service application, and it's gonna say, that there's a problem, obviously. Could it be that the machine is actually overflowing with water? Yeah, if the water valve gets stuck and it just keeps running, of course that's gonna happen. Is it common? Not really. The most common reason for readings like that is typically a bad pressure sensor or a bad hose. So if that's the case, make sure that the hose is good, make sure the pressure sensor is good. If anything, replace it and you should be good to go. All right, now let's go ahead and take a look at where that pressure sensor is, all right? So take a look at that. That's the board right there. The pressure sensor is that little tube that's kind of sticking out right there, and that's where the hose is gonna go. And I got some more information for you, my friends, as far as how to measure it. And if you take a look over here, if you actually wanted to measure the voltage, okay, so let's pretend that, yes, you do want to go ahead and put your multimeter there and check for voltage for further troubleshooting. You can go to pins number 2 and 3. So right here, the power supply and ground, and put your probe there, your multimeter leads, and that's going to give you this voltage, or one of these voltages, depending on the amount of water that is in there. I highly recommend, my friends, okay, I'm gonna say this, highly recommend that you use the needle point leads, because if you use those thick leads that come with the standard multimeter, there's a high probability that you're gonna short out 2 pins, and bye-bye pressure sensor. That means you have to replace a whole main control board just because you want it to be cute and measure voltage, which I told you don't have to, because SmartHQ Service is going to do it for you. Okay, it's not even going to measure the voltage; it's just going to tell you the inches itself. But if you want to use a multimeter, please be sure to use those needle point leads. Those are going to save you a ton of headaches. And you got to have surgeon hands, really steady hands, okay, when you put your leads on those pins, okay? So that being said, my friends, I want to talk about this series that we're currently watching right now, okay? This is the Fix It Like a Pro training series. We have a ton of video content out there. If you just, if you watch this off hours, right? In other words, anytime other than right now when we are broadcasting live, you will be able to watch on-demand content that we have on wall ovens, refrigerators, dishwashers, P-tax, HVAC. Soon we're going to be doing mini splits as well. So shout out to my buddy Justin Garcia over at Co-Create in Stamford, Connecticut. For those of you that are not familiar with our Co-Create Center, it is in beautiful Stamford, Connecticut, and it's just right across the street from the World Wrestling Federation headquarters. It's an amazing place. They have amazing appliances. They have a nice cafe too. So you can go there, get some coffee, get some food, and just enjoy the displays of GE appliances that we have there. We have everything from Cafe, Monogram, GE Profile, anything you can think of. You can go there and experience it for yourself. So hopefully we'll be broadcasting from there as well in the very near future. All right. So to join these other events, my friends, as I said before, simply go ahead and scan that QR code. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into it right here. And that is the Fix It Like a Pro training series that allows you to view these videos, this content on demand, all right? And for those of you that are interested in getting SmartHQ Service, we make it very easy, 2 ways, right? One of them is you can simply go ahead and on this broadcast that you're watching right now, if you click the Buy Now button, SmartHQ Service, the link is going to take you directly to the SmartHQ Pro website, which is going to allow you to purchase a module or the subscription or both for you and obviously the rest of your company. Now, the second way is we also sell what's called the bundle pack, okay? And the bundle pack consists of the Bluetooth module plus a 6-month subscription. And what that does for you, my friends, is it's an all-in-one package, right? And that you can get at your preferred parts distributor. We're not going to say which one because there's plenty of them, but you know who we're talking about, right? Just contact your local parts distributor. and ask for it by name. Ask them for the SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack and say, hey, I want to get that SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack, and they'll sell it to you, and you can begin activating it right away. So some of you have it, some of you have it in your truck and you haven't opened it up, or some of you maybe are thinking about purchasing it. So here's a quick video that is going to show you step-by-step how to not only register your account, but also activate the code that gives you the 6 months of subscription. So as we say around here, my friends, let's go to the videotape.
Congratulations on purchasing your new SmartHQ Service Bundle Pack. Follow these simple steps to register your account. Inside the box, you'll find this insert. Scan the QR code to navigate directly to our online quick start guide. Click the link shown to access the SmartHQ Service customer portal and register your account. It is important to note that device registration should only be completed by account owners and not technicians. If you already have an account, please sign in using your existing login credentials. You can also register on a PC by visiting service.dashboard.smarthqpro.com. Once this process is complete, you'll receive an email prompting you to verify your account. If you do not receive a verification email, it's possible you already have an account. In this case, please enter your email address and click Forgot Password. Now, log into your customer portal and navigate to the section labeled Your Purchases. Select Bundle Pack and enter the MAC ID found on the Bluetooth module. Be sure to use capital letters as this field is case sensitive. Your subscription is now activated and you can begin assigning technicians. Click Allocate Licenses and enter the technician's information, including the mobile device type that will be utilized. Technicians will receive a verification email with detailed instructions on how to set up the SmartHQ Service app on their mobile device. If you have any questions about this process, please email smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com.
All right, my friends, and there you have it. That is how you would set up your bundle pack. So by the way, that video, when you purchase a bundle pack, there's going to be a QR code that's going to take you to the website to register. The same video you just watched is going to also be available there, just in case you missed some of the information we talked about. All right, let's go ahead and quickly shift gears over here, because one of the things we want to talk about is noise and vibration diagnostics, right? How do we diagnose a unit that's making noise or that is vibrating? Well, first and foremost, installation is probably the most important component here, and you want to make sure that the unit is not only level, but balanced, okay? What I mean by that is when you press down on the four corners of the washer or the dryer, right, you wanna make sure that it doesn't rock, it doesn't move. But there is a possibility that even if you do that, one of the legs is not really touching the ground completely, or it's touching it such that if the machine begins to spin, the leg will come off the ground, and that's what causes the vibration, all right? So what we're gonna do right now, okay, my friends, is we're gonna utilize SmartHQ Service. So let's go back over here. What you're gonna see right now is amazing, all right? We're gonna go back, we're in the schematic section. What I'm going to show you right now, my friends, is how you can run a spin test right from your application and essentially ramp up the speed on the motor and graph the speed, right? So we're going to see two things. We're going to see the target speed, but we're also going to see the actual basket spin speed. All right, so let's go ahead and do the side-by-side view over here. And for that, we're going to switch up. So let me just kind of show you how we get there. So first, go to Diagnostic Features on the SmartHQ Service application. Go all the way down to where it says Diagnostic Tests. And now we're going to go ahead and enter service mode. Okay, so we have to put the unit into service mode. And to do that, simply press the Enter Service Mode button. That's going to put the unit into service mode. As you can see, the lights are flashing over here on the appliance, and that means it's in service mode. Now we're going to go ahead and start the spin action, but we're going to shift the cameras over here, and you're going to see the motor begin to, or the basket begin to spin when we hit the spin action button. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Spin action on. And now what we hear is first the drain pump kicks in just to kind of get rid of any, last little bit of water that may be in there. And what you're going to see, you're going to hear the door lock. So there it is, the door locked. Of course, for this demonstration, we've tricked the door into thinking that it's locked so you can see the inside. But now you're going to see that basket begin to spin, first slow, and then it's going to really get up there. All right. So take a look at right now what's happening. It's spinning, relatively slow. The RPMs, the target speed is only 100 RPMs, but eventually it's going to go much, much higher than that. So the blue graph is or the blue line is your target speed. The red is the actual basket speed. We can see that right now. They are both evenly matched. So they're both, so essentially the basket is spinning at 100 RPMs. But as soon as the machine gets a little bit more comfortable, okay, you're going to start to see the basket spin faster because the stakes are going to go up and the target speed is going to go much higher than 100. So we can see that it's gone to 400 RPM, and clearly we can see the basket is spinning much faster. 175. 250, let me see if I can do this, 256, yep. So the target speed, again, is 400, but the basket is at 353. And now it's reached 400. Now it's going to stay there for a little bit, all right, because it needs to be comfortable. It needs to make sure that the machine isn't shaking. Now, when you do this, my friends, do not do this with the door open, okay? I'm a trained professional in a controlled environment. And that thing, if you put your hand in there, it's bye-bye hand. So just be careful. Okay, take a look at the speed right now. We've gone up to 800 RPM, and the machine is getting up there. It's at 752. It's almost going to reach 800, and it's only going to go up from there. That thing is spinning wildly. That is amazing, my friends. We're able to see the inside of the washing machine. We're able to see the basket spinning at a high RPM. And also we're able to see what the value is using SmartHQ Service. So this tells you right now that the machine is capable of going up to 800 RPM at the very least. But as soon as it gets comfortable, all right, the stakes are going up. Whoa, look at that, 1100. And for this demonstration, my friends, that's freaking me out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and kill it. So I'm going to hit stop spin. That is going way, way fast. I can feel the air right now. Kind of scary. You can see that as soon as I hit stop spin, the target speed dropped to nothing. And of course, the actual spin speed is going to begin to go down. Whoa, my heart is racing a little bit. That was quite a moment, but it is how we do things here, okay? This is how you would be able to check that motor to make sure, and let's go back over here, you're going to be able to see if that motor is able to ramp up to the highest speed. And of course, with the unit, with the door closed, you will be able to tell if one of the legs is coming off the ground by checking, right? You can put a piece of paper underneath one of the legs, and as you're pulling out the piece of paper, if it comes out, it means the leg is coming off. That would be the leg that you have to adjust. But what we just did right now, my friends, okay, is we were able to activate the spin test by utilizing SmartHQ Service and verify that the motor is capable of spinning the basket all the way up to the maximum target speed. That's extremely important because that's going to prevent your clothes from coming out wet, right? If the washing machine only spins at a low speed, it's not going to be able to squeeze the water out of those clothes, right? And they're going to come out wet. So the fact that we're able to run this test and we're able to verify that the basket can actually get to the target speed, this tells us the machine is working correctly. So if you ever replace maybe a motor or the basket itself or anything else related to the spin action, this is a good way to verify the functionality of the unit so that you have the assurance that the product has been successfully repaired. And in turn, your customer, or if you're in property management, your resident is going to also know that the machine was successfully repaired. They're going to be happy with it and all is going to be good. All right, my friends. So that's how we run that test. Very, very important that, again, you don't run this with the door open. Okay, we're in a controlled environment here. We have safety measures, things like that. Always make sure that the door is closed when you run this test, okay? But it's kind of cool to see what happened inside, right? All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and exit service mode just to kind of finalize this part of the test. And now I want to talk about something else over here. So a lot of you ask me about troubleshooting, right? How do I troubleshoot a no spin situation? So I like to talk about these things because let's say that, for example, the motor didn't spin, okay, or the target speed wasn't reached, or it started to kind of spin a little bit, but then things didn't go the way you expected them to. Well, one of the things you want to check is the resistance on the motor. So this is just one of the motors that we have. And of course, just one example, you want to refer to the specific mini manual of the product you're working on to ensure that these values are the same, okay? But this is the example we have here from this machine. So what we're going to check is on the motor, the resistance on the wires. So you can just simply remove the wire harness and go ahead and check between the red and white, or the red and blue, or the white to blue. You should be getting about 5.25 ohms of resistance, plus or minus 7%. So there's very little tolerance there, but there is a little bit of wiggle room, okay? It's just not much. So all in all, you should be getting somewhere in that neighborhood. If one reading is giving you 10 ohms and one reading is giving you 0 ohms or something crazy, that means you have a bad coil, bad winding on the motor, and that motor would need to be replaced, okay? The other thing you want to check is the hall sensor. Make sure that the hall sensor connection is secure. And the reality of it is, let me zoom in over here. You see that the two red wires that are surrounded by the yellow kind of wrapping? That's your hall sensor connections. You can't really test that per se. That's more like almost like it puts out like a digital value to the board. But what you can check is for any corrosion, any loose connections, things like that. That's one thing you can check to ensure that the hall sensor is secure. Now, this is part of the motor assembly, so if the hall sensor is bad, you would have to replace the motor assembly as well. Now, the other thing is, how do I know if it's my main control board, or rather my inverter board? So let me take that back. How do I know if it's my inverter board, which is the one that powers up the motor, or if it's a motor problem? Well, here's how you do it, okay? This is probably the easiest way I can explain it. So hopefully everybody understands. So if you're in a no spin situation, okay, there are two parts that could be causing it. Three really, if we talk about the wire harness, but two major parts, the motor and of course the inverter PCB. So if you go ahead and look at the windings as we talked about before, and you check for resistance, and the resistance checks out good, so you're getting 2.25 ohms across any of the combinations that we talked about, then most likely your motor is okay. Now we go into the inverter board. So the inverter board looks exactly like the picture you see right there. That inverter board gets 120 volts AC from the main board, and it outputs a DC voltage to the motor. Now, you're not going to be able to check the DC voltage that goes to the motor, but you can check the 120 volts AC that goes into the inverter board from the main board. So check for that first, check the 120 AC, and again, refer to your schematic diagram to ensure which pins you're going across. It's probably just going to be two wires, so check across those two wires. Make sure that you are actively getting 120 volts AC from the main board. If you don't get 120 volts AC from the main, chances are the problem is not the inverter, it's the main control board, because that's the one that's supposed to supply the 120 volt AC power. Now, if you are getting 120 volts AC and you checked your windings and the windings are good, right? You're getting 5.25 ohms, then more than likely the problem is your inverter board for a no spin situation, okay? Because again, voltage from the main control board is good, resistance on the motor is good. What's the only other part that could be bad? Obviously the inverter board. There could be something wrong with it. And again, I wish there was a way to check the DC output voltage, but there really isn't. We don't have a real, not with the tools that you have, right? Multimeters, things like that. There's really no way to check that at a technician level. And we tell you right there, very important, never measure DC output voltage to the motor, because you will fry your multimeter, okay? And we don't want to be the cause of a broken multimeter, okay? We want you to be efficient. We want you to do good things, not to break your stuff. So again, fair warning, do not measure the output voltage to the motor with your multimeter. You're not gonna get anything except maybe a broken multimeter. All right, now, a lot of you out there have already purchased SmartHQ Service. Maybe you have, again, the Bluetooth module, you bought the subscription, but you haven't done anything with it. So I want to show you over here, my friends, reiterate that you do have to register on what's called the customer portal. You have to register your account to be able to access the application on your mobile device. Okay, if you don't do that, when you try to sign in, it's going to give you a message saying like your access is denied or you need to register. So let's clarify all that. Let's go to the videotape here and show you step by step exactly how you can register your account on the SmartHQ Service customer portal. So let's go ahead and take a look at that.
The SmartHQ Service customer portal allows you to easily manage all aspects of your account from a single user-friendly interface. To get started, you'll need to register your account by visiting service.dashboard.smarthqpro.com. Please note that registration must be completed before you can access SmartHQ Service. Once this process is complete, you'll receive an email prompting you to verify your account. In the event that you do not receive a verification email, it is possible you already have an account. In this case, click Forgot Password and enter your email address to reset your password. A password recovery link will be sent to your email. You can now sign into the customer portal using your login information. Now, let's navigate the customer portal interface. Click My Profile to view your account information. Here, you will be able to change your password, edit your information, and add additional admins if needed. The My Technician section allows you to see everyone who has a SmartHQ Service license assigned to them. From here, you can manage each technician individually and add or revoke licenses. Under Manage Purchases, you can see the total number of licenses you've purchased and how many are available. You can also purchase additional subscriptions and Bluetooth modules. For additional support, click the Help button located at the top of the page. Here, you will find additional content to help you manage your account. You can also click the Contact Us button to report an issue, provide general feedback, or cancel a subscription. If you have any questions, please email smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com.
Alrighty, my friends, and that is how you register on the customer portal. Again, it's very simple, but you do have to do that in order to be able to access the SmartHQ Service application on your mobile device. And again, my friends, I just want to mention, I am using an iPad right now because it's a larger screen. It allows me to see it more clearly, especially wearing the glasses that I have to wear today, again, because of the allergies that are rampant in this part of the country right now. But you know, you can utilize anything, right? An Android device, an iOS device, your choice. You like your phone, keep it, and just simply download the application. Now, once you register your account, as the video showed, you do have to, when you buy a subscription, that license has to be allocated to an email address, and that's the email address you would sign in with. Okay, we're going to have more information about that at a different time, but today, you know, we just wanted to mainly talk about diagnosing and troubleshooting washing machine issues. Okay, one more thing that I want to talk about, my friends, is parts, because a lot of you out there ask me, how do I get parts information from the app? Can I get parts information from the app? And the answer is absolutely, you can. So to do that, simply go all the way to the bottom where it says One Parts. So you click on that, and that is going to give you the different sections of the washing machine in this case, because that's what we're connected to. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to get, I don't know, the tub and motor section. So I wanted to order maybe the belt, all right, because the belt broke on this machine. So you go ahead and simply zoom in. Whoops, it's pretty sensitive there. There's the belt right there. You click on the item number, and just like that, your drive belt. There's the part number right there. Okay, so this gives you a really easy way for you to be able to pull up the parts information. You don't have to go to Google, YouTube, nothing like that. Okay, just everything is right on your mobile device. Everything is easy for you to access. And once you're ready to purchase that part, we'd love for you to purchase it from us, obviously from GE Appliances, but we know that there are parts distributor out there that do a wonderful job at parts. So if you want to go ahead and purchase your part directly from your preferred parts distributor, simply go ahead and go to parts ordering, then go ahead and select parts marketplace, and you will need to enter a code right there where it says please enter your customer code. And for that, refer or ask your parts distributor what the code is. When you enter their code, SmartHQ Service is going to take you directly to their B2B website so that you can buy the parts right from them. And one thing I like to do, all right, is I like to go to the parts information. So again, let's just pull up, I don't know, let's pull up a different part now. let's pull up the motor. Okay, so the motor assembly, 326 right there. So there's a motor. What I like to do is I like to take that number, copy it, and then paste it to the parts distributors B2B website, and that brings up the part right away. You'll be able to order it from them, and it makes it a much, much easier way for you to get your parts. Again, directly from the people you already do business with, directly from SmartHQ Service. And by the way, the parts distributor that you do business with more than likely carries the SmartHQ Service bundle pack, so you can just ask for it by name, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so that, my friends, in effect, is the information that we wanted to share with you today. I mean, we talked about a lot of things today. We talked about noise and vibration diagnostics, how to check to see the motor if it's working. We also talked a little bit about how to activate individual components. And again, just like we were able to activate the water valves, we were able to activate the drain pump. You can also monitor components that are abstract in nature, right? For example, your pressure sensor. How do you measure the pressure? Well, you don't. SmartHQ Service tells you exactly if it's working or if it's not working. And that's what makes the app absolutely incredible, because it does all the work for you. Okay, so with this tool, you're going to save hours in troubleshooting time. It's going to cut hours of troubleshooting and allow you to do more things, which of course is run more service calls. Okay, at the end of the day, what we want this tool to do for you is to help you run more service calls in the same amount of time that you have, the same amount of hours. You're able to do more. So that's the benefit of the tool itself. All right, my friends, unfortunately, it looks like we are out of time, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you in a month with a different topic, so be sure to scan that QR code that we talked about, or visit our website. And again, my friends, from all of us at GE Appliances, we are not only here to help, but we are here for you. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.